Good morning. Today is day 99 of hiking the Appalachian Trail in 100 days, the penultimate day of the trip. And today is also September 11th, which is of course the 23rd anniversary this year of the terrorist attacks in 2001. And the last 3 years I've done stair climbs on 9/11, which are where you basically climb up and down the equivalent number of stairs that the firefighters would have had to go up to get to the top of the Twin Towers. But this year, since I'm on the trail and I have this YouTube channel with a few hundred subscribers, I think I'm around 850 right now. I'm gonna try to do a fundraiser to raise money for a charity that benefits first responders and military veterans and their families. And that charity is called Tunnel to Towers, and their main focus and the main work they do is around providing homes to first responders and military veterans and their families. So they build smart homes that are specifically designed for the individual who had some sort of disability or injury in the line of duty, and they basically build those homes and give them to that individual and their family. And then also for families of military veterans and first responders that died in combat or serving their community or whatever, they will either pay off the mortgages of that family's home, or they'll just buy a home outright for that family. So I think it's pretty good and important work that they're doing, and I've personally donated to this organization in the past, and I think they have about a 95% rate of your donation going directly towards the military veterans and first responders, and only 5% is used for like marketing and administrative costs. So that's a pretty good ratio as charities go. And the name of the charity, Tunnel to Towers, comes from the story of a New York firefighter named Stephen Siller. And he was basically getting off work on the morning of September 11th, 2001. And I believe he was headed to play golf with some friends and brothers. And he basically heard about the attacks on the radio and turned around, went back to the fire station, got all his gear, and got in his fire truck and was driving towards the World Trade Center. But the Brooklyn tunnel was closed and maybe congested with traffic. So he basically just got out of the truck with all his gear and ran through the tunnel towards the towers, and gave his life helping others that day. So it's a pretty moving story. And for this fundraiser, I am setting the goal of raising $1,000 for this charity. And I couldn't find a way to set up like a campaign or anything like that that's tied directly to me on their website. So you can just go to their website and donate, which I'll put the URL up on screen, and I'll put a link in the description. And then if you want to be a part of my fundraiser and help me towards the goal of $1,000, you can just email me or leave a comment, and I'll leave my email up on screen and in the description as well. Or you can also just Venmo me if you trust me, I guess. And after a week or so, I will make a lump sum donation of any Venmos that I got to the charity. So the goal is $1,000. Obviously this video won't be coming out until a week after 9/11, but it's still a worthwhile cause, and I'll basically wait a week after the video has come out and then tally the results and see if we reach that goal. So to me, September 11th is kind of like the Pearl Harbor of my generation. I wasn't actually born before September 11th. I was born just a few months later, but it still feels like a very important moment and something we should honor, and especially honor those families that lost their loved ones. And I think this charity is doing a good job of that, so that's why I want to raise some money. So if you can contribute, if you do think it's a worthwhile cause, I'd really appreciate it. And let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, hope you can help out. So I made it the 7.2 miles down to Woody Gap by about 9:20, 9:25, and I'm walking into Suches, Georgia now. There was a nice view about a mile before Woody Gap, and I thought I took a video, but my screen brightness was really low, and so I didn't notice that the camera was flipped around and was facing me, so it was just like looking at my chest and chin the whole time basically. So that's unfortunate, but did have one nice view today so far. But it was honestly just pretty similar to what we saw on the top of Blood Mountain yesterday, just not quite as good. So I enjoyed it, but I don't think you guys missed a whole lot by me messing up the camera skills. So it's about 2 miles total into town here. Looks like I might not get a ride because there's not a whole lot of activity on the road, but shouldn't be the end of the world. And only have 20 total miles on trail today, so should still be able to get to camp at a reasonable time for sure. So made it back to Woody Gap here just before 11 o'clock. Nice little view here. And I walked about a mile towards town, and then I passed a county sheriff who was just sitting in this little driveway looking for speeders, I guess. And then a minute or two after I passed him, he pulled out and decided to give me a ride to town. So that was pretty cool and unexpected. I rode in the front seat of the car, just so everyone's clear, and he was a nice guy. So got to the little gas station convenience store and got some ice cream and a little Nutty Buddy. And then when I was done with that, they had just made a pizza, and so I had a big piece of pizza as well. So cannot complain. Good snacks. Got the ice cream. Extended the streak to 4 days, and now have just about 13 miles left for the day. So just about half a mile after I headed south from Woody Gap, I came across a guy named Speed Bump, and he was just day hiking south with his dog. But he said he saw my picture on Facebook last night, and I did as well, because one of the groups of people that I talked to yesterday, the one lady asked if she could take my picture, and she ended up posting it in one of the AT Facebook groups. So he saw that last night apparently, and then so he recognized me, or at least knew my name, and so we talked some, and he gave me a little piece of wood that was like engraved. It says like Appalachian Trail, Maine to Georgia, and it has the mileage, but unfortunately I didn't point it out to him because it's pretty cool, and I'm not going to be mean to someone who is giving me something, but the mileage is wrong for this year. It says 2024 2,198.4, but this year it's 2,197.4, so I guess that's a little mistake on his part, but it's still pretty neat. I'll show it later sometime. So it's a little bit before noon now, so still got a number of hours to go, but shouldn't be too difficult the rest of the day, I believe. So it's a little bit before 2 o'clock now, heading up this little hill here, and just under 4.5 miles left, so definitely will get to camp before 4 o'clock, and there should be water there, so shouldn't have any problems with that. Little bit of a view through the trees here, and it's not quite as good as the one this morning, but at least the camera's facing in the right direction. I've also been keeping my eyes peeled the last few miles because I think this section of the AT I read is close to Camp Merrill, where the Army has Army Ranger School, I believe. And so apparently sometimes they have like trainings or exercises up in the mountains near the AT for the last like 15 miles or so of the AT. So apparently you could potentially see some Army guys out here doing some training or whatever. I did hear a helicopter earlier that I would guess is a military craft, not a civilian craft, just because of how big it sounded, I guess, but I didn't see it, and I'm no expert on identifying the helicopters by their sounds, like I know my brother probably can. Another bear sighting down there. It was pretty close to the trail, about 10 or 20 yards ahead of me on the trail, but then it ran down the hill a little bit. And right now I'm only about half a mile from the campsite I'm staying at, so that thing's gonna be pretty close to me tonight. But I'm sure there's been bears closer to my campsite at night before, and I just didn't know it. At this point, I definitely have less than 10 miles to the end of the trail at Springer Mountain. Probably about 8 miles now. So I could certainly finish tonight and get there, you know, sometime between 6 and 7 o'clock most likely, but I'm gonna stick to the 100 days and just have a chill evening, and should be a fairly chill day tomorrow as well. So I set the goal at the beginning of the trip of 100 days, and I think it's going to feel pretty good tomorrow to reach Springer Mountain on day 100 and be able to say I set this goal and now I just accomplished it. So in the tent for the night, and this is the little piece of wood that the guy's speed bump gave me. It says Appalachian Trail, Maine to Georgia, which I think is nice since he knows it's SOBO season, so he has it saying Maine to Georgia rather than Georgia to Maine. And then it has the mileage on here in 2024, but like I said, it's really 2,197.4 miles this year, so he's a little bit off. Another thing that happened this morning that I didn't mention is that I saw an animal that I have not seen the entire trip yet, and that is a wild hog. I did take a video, but it's pretty hard to see because it's still pretty dark in the video, and you can see the hog moving just a little bit. So I'll play that here, and hopefully you can see it a little bit. So it's just about 7 o'clock, and I've been hiking a few minutes with the headlamp on, and there's a wild hog over there in the woods rooting around. I've been shining my light at it. This thing is big. Overall, today was a pretty good day. Did 20.3 miles, and I'm at the Hawk Mountain campsite. There's actually a lot of tent sites here. I think there's like 30 in total along this trail. And there's a privy and bear boxes, and then there's a nice spring at the end of the trail. So pretty nice campsite here, and it's at mile 2190.0. So just 7.4 miles left of the AT tomorrow. And then I also have the 8.8 miles as well of the approach trail to make it to the Amicalola Falls State Park Visitor Center. I'm happy as well that I extended the ice cream streak to 4 days, and honestly, it partly feels like I'm really close to the end, which I am, but at the same time, it doesn't really feel any different because the trail, now is just kind of the same as the trail like 500 miles ago, and it's not like there's any big sign that's saying Springer Mountain 10 miles away, you're so close, you're almost there. So in a way, it almost feels like tomorrow's just going to be just another day, which I guess it will be, but I am super close to the end and definitely looking forward to getting to the top of Springer Mountain tomorrow morning. And I have a little bit of a trick up my sleeve in terms of how long the trip is going to take me. So looking forward to sharing that with you guys tomorrow and getting to Springer Mountain and finishing out this through hike.